Hello, everybody, and welcome to the last episode of The Secrets of Storytelling with me, Katrice Horsley. Now, as you can see, the setup is slightly different to normal, and that is because today I'm talking all about physicality. How we use our body and our gestures to support what we are saying and communicate it more effectively. This episode actually should have gone out last week, and I want to apologize for that. But I had my first COVID vaccine and I had a little bit of a reaction, so wasn't quite up to doing it. So I do need to say sorry. And I am excited about what's going to come next on my YouTube channel with regards to storytelling. But put that to one side for now. Did you see what I did there? Using my body to support my message. We'll talk more about that in a second. But before we go on to that structure that we can use, almost breaking everything down into fine little parts that you can start to build up to support your language, I want to almost take a big picture approach. And I want to bring you under the umbrella of what I believe is the most important thing when it comes to communication and storytelling. And that is to have an emotional connection to what you're saying or who you're communicating with. Often we try and kind of not show our emotions because they're not professional within certain environments. They're not seen as professional. But the whole concept of professionalism is a social construct. It's a social narrative, a cultural narrative, what it is to be professional. And yet it is passion that enables us to truly connect with people, making people laugh. All of those emotional connections are what enable us to connect. And you know all about that if you've watched the previous episodes on what happens to our brains when we tell stories and that release of chemicals. So emotional connection is incredibly, incredibly important. Being personal and being playful means that you are being professional, because being professional is all about being impactful and sharing your information in the most effective way. Storytelling, using metaphors, using emotional and sensory language. And finally, I have to admit to you all that I am a big picture person. I'm not very good at breaking everything down into steps, first of all. I tend to kind of think, that's where I want to go, that's what I want to do, and I leap into it. And I don't think about the systems and the steps that I need to take really to get there. So, what I'm doing here is slightly counterintuitive for the way I approach storytelling and presentations. However, I am not the be all and end all of storytelling. I know storytellers who are incredible and totally different to me. So there is not one way to be a storyteller. There is not one way to give a presentation. And I would really ask you to doubt people who say you have to do this, 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 and this to be a storyteller and to give good presentations. Because it has to come initially from that well of passion. And then you add the techniques on top. I really believe that. The second thing, before I give you some techniques, is a lot of what happens in our presentations and our storytelling is dependent on how we actually experience it. We have natural moves and we have natural ways of experiencing the outside world. I have a condition called aphantasia, which means that in my head, I see absolutely no pictures. I have no mind's eye. So when I am performing a story, and I might be saying, and the young girl stood there, her dark hair tumbling over her pale shoulders, and above her the sky grew dark, bruised black, and the rain lashed down. I'm not seeing a young girl. I can't see anything. I can't see a picture of the story whatsoever. I am actually describing myself being the young girl, and I am describing myself being the rain, because I can't see either of them. Some storytellers are incredibly strong with their visual imagery. And I have a friend, Kat Wetherill, who's an incredible storyteller. And it's almost like she is seeing the story there. And there was the young girl with the hair tumbling over her shoulders, and above her the rain came down and she became so wet. And she's actually seeing the story as she's describing it. So a lot of how you present, a lot of how you perform is dependent upon how you experience. I consciously, really strongly try to include some visual descriptions in my presentations and in my storytelling performances, because I know some people might need them. I don't, because I'm not seeing it particularly. So it is really interesting for you to be aware of how you experience the external world, to know the best and most powerful way of you relating your experience to an audience who might not experience the external world in quite the same way. And I'll put a link to the aphantasia and some other conditions, I don't like that word, some other talents that people might have that make them perhaps use language and description in slightly unique ways. So that's the kind of big picture, big lump of information before I start. I have said before on this series that every single one of you is a brilliant storyteller. Every single one of you probably comes home each day and relates a story that happened to you without thinking of it as a story. You will use emotional descriptive language. You will use your body. You will change the tone of your voice, the pace of your voice, depending on how you are feeling. You won't even give it a second thought. And then when I say to you, can you use emotional descriptive language? Can you use body language? You'll go, oh, no, I feel very nervous about doing that. You're already doing it every single day. So let's become conscious of the unconscious. One of the techniques that I use when I'm on stage, and today I am talking not about digital communication, but when hopefully sometime soon we will be inhabiting physical spaces with other people. So when I'm on stage, I use what's called anchoring devices. And what that means is I use different parts of the stage for different things. In the same way, when I was talking on Vavavoom Zoom, in the same way I was talking about how you can use your eyes and direct your eyes in one direction when you're going to clarify, or direct your eyes in another place when you're going to question, you do the same with your body on the stage. I'm admitting I've got very squeaky floorboards, so bear with me. Hold on. So I'm coming away from you. So on the stage, I might use the center of the stage for my basic delivery. Hello, I'm Katrice Horsley. I'm really passionate about storytelling, and I'm really, really honored to be here with you today. So that's my kind of center point. If I am going to give a task to the audience, I might move to my stage right and use this small space here to say, what I want you all to do now is to turn to the person next to you and tell them why you became involved in this field of work. I give them time to do that. I come back into the middle. Okay, everybody, look at me. Perhaps I get some responses, center stage. I move to the stage left to clarify some of the responses. So I might use my stage left for clarification, center point for general delivery, stage right for giving instructions or giving commands, wrong word. What that does throughout your presentation is it alters in a very unconscious way the audience's responses to you. So they almost set themselves up ready, if you've done that twice, to get ready for a question when you move towards stage right, or they get ready to kind of sit back and take on board some of your clarification when you move to stage left. And it's used in neuro-linguistic programming. Anchoring is sometimes you touch somebody's hand or you do a certain movement to give importance to a certain phrase that you're trying to communicate. So the stage is a great space to use for anchoring. If I'm performing a story, then I might use the different parts of the stage for different characters, or I might use the different parts of the stage for certain emotional content that I want to enhance or underline or support. So it can be used in presentations, and absolutely 100% definitely, it can be used in performances as well. The other thing that we use our bodies for, and that can be very powerful, is we use our bodies for underlining, literally underlining certain information. And we can underline objects, things, we can underline facts, or we can underline and give importance to emotions through different body actions. So even when I'm talking about underlining, I am using that body movement to support underlining. I'm almost giving you a visual cue to support what I'm saying. If you are going through facts, one of the ways that you can underline facts is by creating almost a list. So we need to do this and this and this, or you count it off on your fingers, this and this and this and this, or you can give it a certain rhythmic movement with your hand. And that creates a push with the list. Your bodies are effectively supporting your words and underpinning your words. With emotions, and even as I say the word emotions, my body very naturally waves itself sideways for some reason. You can reinforce an anger. So already I've actually turned my shoulder to you. She was angry. I might go, she was angry, but for me, it's almost, you're not worthy of me even giving you my full attention. She was angry. It's almost like I have a contempt for you, so I won't give you the full focus of my attention. If you're using, I have such a love. It's like it's in my belly. I have to, it's there. So such a love for him. Or I have such a love for him, and I have to arch forward towards him with my hand on my heart. Sometimes I feel that if we think too much about it, we don't feel it. And it is sometimes very hard to let the emotions go first and let our bodies lie on top of the emotions. But I'm saying that because that's how I work, and it might not be how you work. So if you need to break down movements and you have to think of a movement to underline certain points that you want to do or that you want to make in your presentation, I would rehearse it to the point that it becomes natural. Because if it's not laid on top of the emotion, it almost becomes an affectation, something artificial, and you come across as not being authentic. There are certain presenters I know who almost feel like chat show hosts or game show hosts, and they might have certain movements, they might have certain ways of moving their body that almost don't feel genuine. Politicians do the same. I remember there was a politician in Britain, and there was a huge joke about him chopping the bread and brushing away the crumbs. Donald Trump had this particular affectation when he was talking, or when he talks, he has this, like, he holds something in his fingers. I don't know what it is. And it starts to distract you from the presentation because it doesn't match the emotion in the material or the content of the material. So if it is not, it's almost like I cannot move my mouth without moving my body. The two are, sometimes my body is ahead of my mouth. I am very body-based in my learning and in my making sense of the world, perhaps because I've got no pictures in my head. But for you, if that is not your way of learning, you need to practice your moves until they become fluid and are definitely 100% connected to the emotions that you want to share and portray. That's hard work. The other thing to do with your body and your movements is all of us will actually have a natural body movement that we do when we're talking. When I perform, I quite often rock forwards. And there's this movement in so many of my performance pieces, or this, my head is somehow up, it's not attractive, and I'm here. And it's almost like I have a circle of energy that I need to hook myself into. I think also it's got something to do with the fact that I'm short. So I'm 4'11", like 1 meter 52. And a lot of the time I'm feeling I'm reaching up for something. When people take photographs, it's quite often interesting. I'll just use the word interesting, not very flattering. But you can use that. Don't try and get rid of it. If you're a pacer, if you're a side-to-side pacer, you can actually, if you are conscious of it, begin to use it in quite a powerful way. You might be a swayer, swaying side to side. And again, you can stop that, give a part of your presentation, and then when you're clarifying, when you're looking as though you're thinking about what that means, you can do the sway, and then you come back to center and kind of anchor yourself. So don't feel that you have to get rid of every single little tiny affectation that you have. Just become conscious of them and use them as a powerful tool in your communication by supporting the emotions that you want to share or the words that you want to deliver. Last thing, your body extends your eyeline. What do I mean by that? I have my lovely green eyeliner on today. It's nothing to do with my green eyeliner. What I mean by that is that, and this perhaps might be more to do with performing a story than it is to do with presenting, doing a presentation, but you can use it in presentations as well. So what I mean by that is if you're giving a talk about the future, the future of the company, you could say, like standing here, and I want the future of this company to be, which is fine, it's okay. But if you say, and I want the future of this company to be, it's like you're looking into that future. It's like you can see that future there in front of you. And my eyes are looking at the future, and my body is showing you where my eyes are looking. So it's extending my eyeline. I could say, and the young girl walked down the path towards the river. Or I could say, And the young girl came down the path towards the river. So it's almost like I'm tracing with my eyes and exaggerating with my hand her step by step by step by step movement down to this river, which is at my feet. I have had situations, and I've said this before, where when I've done that, when I've said, and suddenly there, and the audience has gone, where? Because you are creating a world for the people to inhabit regarding the story by using your eyes and your bodies in those ways. Like the story is above you, by the side of you, even below you, coming up from the soil. So your body extends your eyeline. And finally, you need to inhabit the space. There is a little bit of a gender issue here, that it's been found that women tend to compromise their space. They pull inwards. And often, we use this phrase, man spreading, that if there is a man and a woman on a seat, and the man might extend his legs, and so the woman will cross her legs. She'll take up less space to allow the man to have the space. I'm not saying every man, I'm not saying every woman, I'm saying it's a pattern that's been recognized. And quite often when you go on stage, what you need to do is take up way more space than your body, because the stage is bloody big. And before you go on stage, if you're a man who feels uncomfortable in your body, or a woman who feels uncomfortable in their body, and these are people who identify as men, people who identify as women, is we as humans feel uncomfortable in our body, we pull inwards. So what's a really good thing to do before you go on stage to give your presentation is to straddle. So to stand with your legs out and with your arms out, and try and extend yourself past your fingertips. Understand that you take up more than this space. You take up like this much space. You take up this much space. You are inhabiting all of this here. Breathe it in. Bring it in. Extend it out, and then go on the stage. And suddenly your gestures are bigger and you inhabit more space. As I say, I'm only 4'11", but on the stage, I can inhabit a lot more than 4'11". And people are very often shocked that I'm so short, because my energy, my filling of a room is so much greater than my body. You do not want your energy to stop at your fingertips. You want it to extend further. You want your presence to extend further than your body. And that's a very nice little technique that you can use before you go out onto the stage. So those are a couple of tips for you regarding presentation and regarding using your body. I'm going to tell you a little secret one as well, because I realized something was happening while I was presenting to you, and you might have noticed. When you are presenting, it sounds funny, but it's actually very serious. Make sure you have really good underwear on. I have been standing here, I don't know whether you've seen my hand going like this, because the bra that I'm wearing is dead itchy on my back. Now, I can't be doing that when I'm presenting. And I can't have like a bra strap slipping down and me having to hitch it up, or underwear that isn't comfortable, so I'm pulling it down at the back. Always make sure that your underwear is something that you don't have to think about, because it's that comfortable. And for any of the people out there who wear trousers when they're presenting that have zips, always try and make it part of your habit to check just before you go on the stage that everything is done up that needs to be done up. It's a silly thing, but it can get very distracting for the audience, and it can also take your attention away from the material that you've been rehearsing so well. So that's it. That's the end of the series, The Secrets of Storytelling. And it is the end of this section on physicality and your body. What's coming next? I hear you ponder. Well, the next thing that's going to come up is a small series of films that I'm going to create around how we as individuals can start to use stories to think about our lives in different ways, and perhaps to start to question some of the patterns we might have that are self sabotaging in our lives. It's not therapy, and it's not meant as therapy. It's just some really useful little narrative based tools that you can use almost like journaling every day to help you start to direct yourself towards the story you want to live, rather than following an old story about yourself that perhaps you want to get out of. So that's going to be the next series. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but watch this space. I'm giving myself a little break of about a month, and I'm going to come back in a month with the new series on story based activities that help us create the lives that we want to live. I hope you'll tune into that. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, and please, please, please feel free to tell me or inform me of any areas on the use of stories that you might want to look at or explore more with me. That'd be great. And if you have subscribed to the channel, I've got a big piece of news coming up in the autumn. So thank you for subscribing. And for those who have subscribed, something special for you. Take care for now. Bye bye.